in the Philippines, everyone is Catholic. Even if they're not like religious, they'll tell you that they're Catholic. So everybody has that foundation of Christ, and they know like why we believe in Christ, and they believe in Christ. So it's easier to like. It's not as hard as like going somewhere like China or like Russia or something, because they already have that firm belief in Christ, even if they don't go to church or even if they don't pray or stuff like that. Like they know who Christ is, so it's really easy. There's like in America, if you're walking down the street, like you see a couple people walking, like, but you don't really say anything. In the Philippines, especially being white with blonde hair, I attracted a lot of attention. So it's a lot easier for missionaries, especially American missionaries, to share the gospel in the Philippines, because there's hundreds of Filipinos always in the street, and everyone is very friendly and very kind. So you just like, hi, brother, sister, like, how are you today? Oh, great. Would you like to know more about Jesus? And so it's very easy to teach them. And it's very easy to get them to convert to the gospel, because their hearts are so pure and they're so invested in serving Christ. And so actually the Philippines Bacolod mission was the top baptizing in the world while I was there. And so like we were just baptizing, our mission president, President Lopez, was very strict and very good at keeping the missionaries exactly obedient. We were preaching my gospel mission, we were exactly obedient, and we had weekly baptisms. And so like his expectation for us was to have a baptism every week. And sometimes we did it, and sometimes, like when you first get into an area, it's hard to get it all worked out and stuff. But for the most part, we had a baptism every week of my mission. It was like a couple of transfers where we didn't. But for most of my mission, we had a baptism every week. And most of the missionaries in my mission did that as well. So we were very obedient. We didn't have a whole lot of time to do other things. Like we didn't have Christmas devotionals in my mission or stuff like that. Like we focused the entire day of Christmas proselyting, and on P days we weren't allowed to wear regular clothes. We had to wear proselyting clothes. Like we were always dressed as missionaries and always expected to act like missionaries. So it was really easy for us just to be missionaries. We had high expectations from our mission president, which encouraged us to be better, and it did. We were very successful and very happy to be missionaries. I mean, sometimes it was hard and sometimes we got discouraged, but for the most part, the Philippines is not easy. Like, my mission was not easy, but it's easier than some other missions, just because the people of the Philippines are very kind and very open, and they love to talk. And so talking about Christ with them was also easy, because the Filipinos have a lot of faith. And so we just have to help them place it in the right thing and like help them redevote their lives and stuff. There was lots of experiences on my mission where we had very devoted Filipinos, and they were very devoted to Christ, but with just teaching them a couple of lessons, they could already feel the Spirit like so strong. And so they were able to just 100% commit. And so we had, in our mission, they had to go to church 4 times and then they could be baptized. And so that's actually not as hard as it is in other missions, because Filipinos love to do everything that you want them to do. So you're like, all right, sister, go to church. Some areas are harder than others, but for the most part, we had, 15 people at church every Sunday, like investigator-wise. So the only problem in the Philippines that we had in my mission was retention, like keeping people active after a while, because we had so many baptisms. Trying to like visit recent converts was a little more difficult, but members are pretty good about fellowshipping and stuff. The church is still very young in the Philippines, in the aspect of like in America you see bishops who are in their 50s and their 60s, like you see older men as bishops. In the Philippines it's better. We are, as missionaries, are more excited when we see younger like bishops and branch presidents, because they've served missions or they're more educated in how the church works. Because sometimes if you have an older bishop, they've only been baptized for a couple of years and they're not really sure what's going on. So sometimes as missionaries we had to like redirect them and help them like learn about how the church is supposed to work, just because sometimes things would get lost in translation, literally, because their language is not a written language. So the Book of Mormon, they don't really understand the Book of Mormon like perfectly, because it's not all their language. And so like all the church manuals and stuff is in English. So sometimes we had to like literally help them understand what was expected of the church and how it was supposed to run. That way it would be a lot more smooth. So that is really good. Everyone tries to do their best in the Philippines, as far as we saw. But they're once they're baptized and stuff, like they're happier and they're more successful. And it's hard to see that in America, especially because over here we're a lot more prideful. So if we get promoted at work or, we get up at our house or whatever, we're proud of ourselves. Like, oh, look what I've done. I've worked really hard. In the Philippines, they see everything as a blessing. And you can tell the difference between, like, when an investigator is investigating the church. For example, I had in my last area a woman who was investigating the church for, like, a year and a half. Like, everyone kept teaching her because she was easy to teach. And she would never come to church. Like, not once. Never came. And she didn't have money for travel because they don't have cars over there. They just travel public transportation. And we can't just give them money, or they would just expect us to always give them money. So I had her wash my clothes 1 week. I was like, all right, sister, like, wash my clothes, and then, I'll give you this many pesos and use this much for plete, like your travel money, and then you can have the rest to buy food or whatever. And I was a little worried when I did that because I thought, like, maybe she would want to wash my clothes, like, every week. And I didn't want to pay for someone to wash my clothes every week because I just normally did it myself. But that first week that she did my laundry, she came to church the next day. I did it on Saturday, so she couldn't spend it all before Sunday. She came to church that week. And every week after that, she had someone offer to pay her to do some kind of job, and she sold fruit in the marketplace. And every week she sold out, which she'd never done before. And every week she kept coming to church until she was eventually baptized. And it's little things like that, like, that we don't necessarily see sometimes because we're thinking that we've done a better job, like, oh, I'm just doing better, or like things are just happening, it's good. But as a missionary, you see like how those are little miracles. Like, her fruit was never like really good quality, and that's why she never sold out. But she always did after she started going to church. So like we see blessings, like the little blessings that turn into big blessings after someone does something as little as just going to church on Sunday. So I would write in my journal every day, for sure, if I redid my mission. And I would also be more bold. Filipinos are very shy, and sometimes that would make me hesitant to be so bold. But I remember a couple of times where I was bold with someone, and I was just like, brother, like, do you want to see your family again when you die? Yes, sister. Okay, then you can't because you're drinking and you're not keeping your covenants. Like, you're not going to be with them again. Does that make you happy? No, sister. Okay, then. Are you going to go to church on Sunday? Yes, sister. And, like, he came to church that week. And it was, like, it was weird because Filipinos don't always react like that if you're bold with them. But the times that I was bold, they reacted. I was bold with the spirit, I should say, because sometimes being bold in an inappropriate situation is not good. Like, you have to follow the spirit. But sometimes I ignored the spirit a little when he encouraged me to be bold because I was worried about offending them or saying something I shouldn't. But I wish I had been a little more bold with certain people. And I wish I had, I just have one huge regret for my mission. There was this brother in my second area, and he had been less active for like 15 years. And his family was active, he just wasn't. And he didn't want anything to do with the missionaries. When we went over there, he would go and hide in his room. And 1 week, we went over there to see his daughter, and she was playing EFY songs, whatever, and we were in the kitchen, and he was in the living room. And I came out into the living room where the music was playing, and I was singing super loud one of the EFY songs, and I was, like, dancing to it, and he was, like, looked at me, and he just, like, started laughing. And I was like, brother, are you making fun of me? And, like, I was just teasing him. And after that, like, we kind of started building his trust a little bit. So after that, he started coming out to see us, and it took about a month. But after a month, he wanted to start listening. And one time he prayed for us, and it was a super huge deal to me. Las Lactas are very close to my heart. And so I was, like, very excited. And we were trying to get his daughter-in-law to join the church and his son to come back to church. And so we'd been encouraging him, brother, everyone misses you, everyone loves you, come back to church. And encourage his daughter-in-law, all right, come to church, like it would be great for you and be great for your kids, and encourage his son. And one Sunday I saw his daughter-in-law and his son in one of the little tricycles, and they came out and I was jumping up and down. I was so excited to see them. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you. Like, come into church. And I went and I gave her a hug and I brought them into church. And that night we went by to see them. And that Less Active's wife came out and she was like, sister, brother so-and-so is kind of sad because you didn't see him come to church today. He was driving the tricycle. He was hoping that you would see him and ask him to come inside. And it just broke my heart. Sorry. And I was like, I started crying. And I was like, sister, I wish I had seen him. And she was like, it's okay. He'll try again next week. He was just hoping that you would, force him to come into church today. And I was transferred that day. I got the transfer call. And so it was kind of sad. Like, I wish I had just noticed him sitting there. Because sometimes I would get so excited about seeing one person. And that happened several times where, like, families would come and people would get sad because I would be excited about seeing the less active one, and the active one would feel like I wasn't paying enough attention. So I wish I had just been a little more, like, aware of what was going on. And, yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, I still think about it sometimes, and I'm like, if I had just seen him. Because he was so hard, he wouldn't listen. Like, we had to, like, kind of coerce him, like, brother, we're going to teach you anyways. Like, listen to us. And, like, after a while, he got used to it. But the missionaries that were after me didn't spend as much time because they were more into baptizing, which is our job as missionaries. But he never ended up going to church. So it was kind of sad for me just because I was so close. But, yeah, so just to pay attention more and write in your journal, because that's something that I regret. Like, coming home, like, I want to remember everything. And I wrote in my journal sometimes, and then I didn't, and then I did, and I didn't. So, consistency is important. So I served in, my first area was Monsalingan, and my second area was Cadiz. My third area was in the Bago zone. I was in Kalumangan. My fourth area was La Castillana. My fifth area was my goodness. I forgot. My fifth area was my last area. It was also in the Bago zone. And it was, I hope none of my members are watching this because they're going to be sad. I don't remember what my last area was called. La Castillana. I don't remember. The names are so weird. Nah, I don't remember. I remember it as soon as I'm done with this question. Gonna remember it. Yeah, I served in 5 areas and had 9 companions.